July the 6th, 2024. Guys, you're looking at the latest images from the satellites over the Gulf of Mexico. This is Beryl, and what we've been seeing is kind of a constant movement back towards the east as far as the forward-looking projection and the spaghetti models. I want to just point out that in the last few frames, the storm appears to have taken just a slight turn back to the left. It could have a lot to do with what's coming down this way. Look at all the pressure building, moving from north to south, back down towards the Gulf. And right now that it appears to have some effect on the steering. Now, I was keeping an eye on it all through the day, and about 1 o'clock they came in with new coordinates of where the storm was, but all the forward points out, and you see how I've done this on the videos leading up to where we're at now with Beryl. And by the way, guys, it feels like we've been on a 2-week journey, doesn't it? My job is to make sure that everyone knows where the storm is coming, what the potential is and things like that. But I swear it seems like we've been on a wagon train ride like in the old days from here in Mississippi to California with the storm. And basically that's kind of what we've done, hasn't it? And let me tell you something about that. There's something in the human psyche that will change the way you feel about something. In other words, we saw the Ukrainian war break out. It was big news, and then it becomes old news because you've seen it, you've done it. It's not that important anymore. You put it on the back shelf, right? Same thing with hurricanes. We've seen the storm come through all the way from Africa. And by the way, you and us here were the first ones to ever mention Beryl as we saw it blast off the coast of Africa at extremely fast rate. Remember that? So it has been a long journey. I'm not complaining. But I don't want you to become weary. It's like becoming jaded to a situation. In other words, we watched a storm come across Africa, from Africa across the Atlantic into a Cat 5 hurricane. Do extreme devastation from the Windward Islands to Jamaica, all the way to the Caymans, and then across the Yucatan. Luckily, it slowed down. So what will happen again, just like in war, you'll become numb to it. Don't do that with this hurricane season, because I know it's a real thing, because it happens to me and to you guys. We've heard enough about the storm, right? But now we're down to key events that are not concerned with Jamaica or the Cayman Islands or the Windward Islands or the Yucatan. It has to do with my friends in Texas. Again, we're almost through this journey for this storm, but don't forget there's others. We're early in the season, and this storm that's been behind Beryl all this time, it kind of winds down, tries to crank back up. Now it's getting into warmer waters, and you can almost see that it would love to wrap up right in this area. Anyway, that's not important at the time unless you're in Cuba. Cuba, watch out for this, because what's happening, it's hitting a front. See this storm, or this movement moving down off the east coast towards Cuba. Watch where they collide right there. Check that out. And we've been seeing that today with the storms here. Look right up there. That's a collision of this front moving down from the south. It's a high pressure area, and it's meeting very warm, moist air, and so we're getting these storms. It's kind of like the collision of two armies. Anyway, I was looking at the numbers both at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and now at the 6 p.m. update, and they have a change in the basic location, but not much change as you get forward into the projections on the days. But guys, we are at day 6, and tomorrow is the day this thing's coming ashore. So it doesn't matter if it's going to come ashore Central Texas or a little closer to the Houston area, which I'm thinking it may be because of the trends that we've had. Then it's important to understand the surge and at what time your tides are going to come in. It's not coming in as a Cat 3 or 4, I don't think. It may get to a Cat 2. We're going to look at those numbers. Let me show you a couple things first. Now, this is the current tide chart for Galveston, Texas. And the storm's coming in tomorrow morning. Sometimes tomorrow it changes because of the curve and all. I just want to point out this. Your high tide is at 7:01 a.m. tomorrow. You can see now you're approaching low tide. This red dot indicates where it's at. The tide is falling. Current height is 0.1 foot, and it will be at low tide here tonight. When you get to this point, at a 0.7 feet minus that. But here again, high point at 7:01 a.m. Now let's look at some of the predictions. And guys, this is going to change up and down the Texas coast. I'm using this for an example. But you've already got storm surges of up to 2 to 4 feet. Some places 5 feet. Now this has nothing to do with that because that's just the rise in the water. Then you add this, and then on top of the high tide and the 3 to 4 to 5 foot surge, we're going to look at it, and it's going to change. You got to add the wave height. None of this accounts for that. So the timing at 7:01 a.m. is critical because especially along the Texas coast, just like here in Mississippi or Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, you got a lot of boats, a lot of people that love their boats, and a lot of people that make a living from that. Now, this is updated 23 minutes ago at 8 p.m. Eastern. Notice you're at 60 miles per hour, still a tropical storm, moving northwest at 13 miles per hour, pressures at 997. This location, 24.4 north and 93.7 west, we're going to look at it. Here's the important thing. Monday at 2 a.m., it's saying a Category 1 at 85 miles per hour. It's going to be setting off the coast. Now, what time did I say that high tide was coming in? At 7 a.m. And this is probably 3 or 4 hours from being fully impacted into the shore. See where it's at? It's not a shore. But it's already going to be pushing water inland, especially into the bays, Galveston, the other places there along that area. And let's take a look at the models again. This updated 26 minutes ago now as I'm looking at my clock. The Canadian model, the pale green model, right along here starting to get very close to the Navy model, the purple and the pale green lines. And they're not moving as far up as it was. St. Louis is where the Navy model has been. Now it's coming through the northern sections of Memphis along the Kentucky border. That's as far as the center circulation. You have models to the right of that and models to the left. But these two are getting close. But right now at the impact point, they are probably 50 miles apart, and we're not that far from that point. Now, this is the local weather service. Now, this is the latest coordinates from the National Hurricane Center, and that's important. We'll take a look at it. And again, what I've seen throughout the day, they've changed the initial location, but not the coordinates going ashore, not by much. And but always that center of location would change somewhat. Center is located 23 degrees 0.9 north, 23.0 west. It is moving at 50 knots or in gust up to 60 knots. Still tropical storm. But let's punch these coordinates into our map right here. 23.9 north, 93.0 west, and see what we get. And what you're going to see is something that should be upgraded, I think, in the data and the way it's shared. But it puts us here, again, 2354 and 93 west. See that? And by the way, what you're looking at, I'll pull this up a little closer, is some of the information from today and yesterday. This was the lines last night. These were the lines this morning. And then this afternoon at 1 o'clock, these were the lines. In other words, the pass. You can see the difference. What happened right here, this point was supposed to go to this point. These were the predictions right there. But it jumped north and west here and ended up here. But the problem is they're not updating the numbers with their reports as far as 8 p.m. and stuff like that. Because if we pull this up again, 2354 north, 93 west. Let's pull this up, guys. You'll notice that Beryl is up here, right there. Now, so if we look at the path where it jumped from here to here, and what I did was go ahead and put the forward coordinates in it at the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock, checked it. They hadn't changed a lot. So the storm is not here. It is not here. It is here. Now this is what the path is showing us. Just a little further to the west. Earlier today we were talking about coming in San Antonio Bay and then coming up into the Matagorda Bay. And what has happened, they have not changed the last few numbers here to match where the storm's at. So we're just going to have to wait and see by in the morning, guys, if it comes a little further to the east. That is why I was showing you the high tides in the Galveston area. High tides early, storm surge, all of that's coming in about that time. Here it's showing Monday, 1 p.m. right here. But these numbers I put in, again, at the 1 p.m. update. See that? These were the coordinates. They're not changing that. And the coordinates are off down here. I know it's been a busy week for them, just like it has been for us. So all I know to say is, guys, we're going to have to watch it, keep an eye on it. Category 1 or 2 coming ashore. It's a heads up. Be safe.